Hello and welcome to the top 8 round of the Osaka OP06 One Piece Trading Card Game Championships. My name is Atrocious. You can also call me Jake. And today we've got a special round for you. Looking at the distribution of the top 8. First though, there are 4 Sakazukis left in this tournament. Started out in the top 32 with 17 and 4 have advanced. 3 Katakuris left. Katakuris doing a very good job at advancing through this tournament, and then 1 Yamato, and that rounds out our top 8. Now, just for full disclosure, I do not own rights to this stream. This is from the official live stream. If you would like to go check that out, link is in the description below. But let's get into the game. We've had thrilling games so far with Red Purple Law and then also the Black Yellow Luffy, so I'm super excited to see this Yamato and Sakazuki. Yamato having a very strong showing at the start of OP06 has kind of fallen off a little bit as time has gone on. Sakazuki later in the season has become more and more dominant, so this will be showcasing really who is the one on top in this event. It looks like for the Yamato, you've got the Onami, you've got an Izzo in hand, as well as a Punk Gibson, as well as some other goodies like Okiku. In this I never say this, Inuarashi. Hopefully I said that right. The Sakazuki player having a Tashigi, a Suru, you've got a Virgo, Borsalina, and the starter deck Helmeppo in hand. So pretty good hand, I feel like, for both players, kind of. I think the Sakazuki has a little bit of an advantage in terms of this starting hand, but Yamato, for the first and second turn that they do, they probably just do stuff with leader and nothing else. So the Yamato will be going first in this match. We'll see how this goes. Could be the build with not only the Howdy Jones but also the Roronoa Zoro from OP06. That's secret rare. That would be very exciting. And so we're going to go in just Yamato going first, just getting that Dawn and passing. And so Sakazuki now in their 2 Dawn turn, at least going to be using leader effect and that Tashigi top 5, looking for a Navy card. Going to be finding a Great Eruption. That's always a great early card, but also a Hound Blaze. So leaning a little bit towards the Hound Blaze, and that's exactly what they're going to grab. Going to say, okay, if you put something down eventually, I'm going to be able to bottom deck it. And so just using the other Dawn to put down another Tashigi. So a really good start for this Sakazuki, as best as you probably can get. Going to be getting 2 Navy cards, because in my opinion, 2 Tashigis, honestly, kind of better than 1 brand new, if I had to say. So thinking about what they want to grab in here, could grab the Hina and then use it off of the leader effect. They haven't used leader effect this turn to discard a card from their hand and draw 1 card. So if I'd imagine, oh, and it's going to be the Helmeppo being used for the leader effect. So a little bit of a surprise there, but going into now the Yamato's turn, they get 2 more Dawn, and I love the matching Dawn with the Yamato, and just going to be starting out with that Yamato double swing in there. It is a double attack, and so they're going to let it go through, getting 2 life on here, quickly putting Sakazuki to 2 life left, and then passing the turn over to Sakazuki. So at 4 Dawn now, they could put Borsalino down. They've got a couple different cards that they have found through their turn. So swinging 5 and Yamato taking it, a potential trigger, but putting it in their hand, opting not to use that card right there. And so thinking about what they want to do, just gonna rest for Dawn, play Borsalino at this point. So they do have an Izzo in hand, which could lead to a rest of the Borsalino if they want to, a free swing into life, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Going to be resting that Borsalino off that Izzo, and then using the rest of the 2 Dawn, attach it to the leader, and swing 7 at life. Could be another double attack hit. You got to be really careful against Yamato how many double attacks you let in. So the Sakazuki player is going to use a 2k Virgo and a 1k brand new. They have a ton of cards in hand, so it's not the worst idea. Now at the 6 Dawn turn. The Izzo, you're only worried about on play, so not going to have to worry about that too much in terms of potentially being rested once again. And so Sakazuki thinking about what they want to do, eyeing up this Borsalino here off the leader effect, going to be drawing into a Suru. So the Izzo, if you're not careful, could potentially swing, so you do have to be wary a little bit about that, but going to be swinging 5 at leader and then minusing the Izzo by 1, going to be taking that life, evening it up at 2, and getting the Hiyori in hand. So resting 2 Dawn now, going to be using that Hound Blaze, boosting up the Tashigi to be able to attack, and bottom decking the Izzo. Izzo did its job. You're not too worried about that, but the 5k swing that could come in from the Tashigi could be a potential problem. So definitely don't want Sakazuki to swing too many times, but we'll see exactly how this goes. So thinking about swinging now, I definitely think that's fine to swing now at this point, and they are going to do that. Going to be thinking about what they discarded, and it looks like they're just going to discard an Onami. The Onami banish, a very, very strong card in Yamato decks. We've seen an auto inclusion 4 of in the deck, but they also have another one in hand, so I guess they're not too worried about it. And so with 4 Dawn left, thinking about what they could do, they could hard play down this Hina. You wouldn't get the minusing effect, but it would allow you to potentially utilize a swing next turn. You could attach the 4 to Tashigi and swing 6. At this point, they just fed you 1 card. You could get potentially 2 more cards, 1 or 2 more cards, depending on what they have in hand. They do have 2 Kozuki Hioris in hand, the 2 cost 2k counters, so could get out of that with just 1 card, but I think you'd still be kind of happy with it, to be honest, because I don't know what other play you could really make in hand at this point. Like, playing Suru just feels bad. You don't really want to do the Hound Blaze at this point. You kind of honestly maybe want to save the Hina a little bit, in my opinion. I think you should just get the value out of the Tashigis now. Just go ahead, swing that, just get 1 or 2 cards from their hand. It's no sweat off your back really at this point, and you don't really lose any of the counter and stuff from your hand as well from these other cards. The counterpoint I would say to that idea that I had, though, that I just presented, is that Hina doesn't have counter anyways, so it's kind of just a strong attacker. But going with that 6k Tashigi swing, and so going to be using that 2k Hiyori that I had mentioned earlier to just get 1 card out. So passing the turn off to the Yamato. We'll see what the Yamato does now at this point on the 7th Dawn turn, drawing a Lion Man. I forget what this guy's name is, to be honest. The Neko Mamushi is what it's actually called. And so thinking about what they can do at this point, that Neko Mamushi could be good in the future, but I think in this matchup it's pretty susceptible to be able to be bottom decked, even though it's a threat to next turn attack active characters. So splitting a couple Dawn at this point, now that your opponent is less than 3 life, you could attach the 2 rested Dawn to a character in a potential turn. So you probably want to put 1 or 2 characters down at this point, and just going to start out by swinging double attack 8 at life right now. So 8 is pretty tough. You could do the 2 Surus, right, to be able to get around this double attack, because I don't think you want double attack to happen anymore at this point. So it'll be interesting to see how they counter out of it. It would be the rest of the counter in your hand. The only rush card that this deck usually plays is the Howdy Jones, and they don't have enough Dawn to play Howdy Jones, so I don't think you're super worried about that at this point. In terms of any more life being taken away, they could also save both of those sets of 2 Dawn for both of the Punk Gibsons, could be interesting, and deciding, you know what, I'm not going to give you any counter. I'm just going to let this guy die. So I wouldn't be surprised then, laying down the 2 for the Hiyori, grabbing 1 of their life. With the on play effect, you may put the top or bottom card of your life pile into your hand, and then put 1 card from your hand at the top of your life stack. So grabbing a Charlotte Cracker, it looked like, in that one, and then putting a card on the top of their life. What card was that actually? I'm gonna go back and look because I wasn't 100% sure what that was. I think it was the Neko Mamushi. Yes, the Neko Mamushi went to the top of life. I was reading the Hiyori and I accidentally missed that, so my apologies. But going into now Sakazuki's next turn, they still have those Tashigis on and 1 Howlblaze. The Howlblaze would be a free boost and bottom deck for the Tashigi to be able to swing once again. Could be a really, really strong play in my opinion. And thinking about what they want to do, you definitely want to maximize the Tashigis. And honestly, you've got 2 Hinas in hand now. You can trash 1 with the leader effect, but I definitely think you probably want to play the other, even though you're not going to get really the on-play effect. I think it's still worth it to be able to keep up pace on these bodies, because these Tashigis aren't going to last forever. And so swinging 5 with the leader, minusing the Hiyori, getting countered out with the Charlotte Cracker, going to be attaching 3 Dawn to this first Tashigi to swing 5 at leader, and so going to be costing at least 1 more card. They know that they have a Punk Gibson in hand. The Punk Gibson could be good though to rest potentially 1 of the other Tashigis. So thinking about what they want to do for that Punk Gibson though, giving you plus 4k, it really feels bad if you're using it on a 2k Tashigi, right? So just going to be taking that life. It is that Neko Mamushi, and that Neko Mamushi with the trigger, if your opponent has 3 life cards or less, play this card. It is a free attacker right there. So really interesting decision there. Makes a lot more sense why they put that Neko Mamushi into their life cards through the Hiyori. And so now the Sakazuki player has a decision. They could play this Hina down from hand, but going to be using the leader effect first. Again, they have another one. They could potentially play down this Hina raw and then use Howlblaze to bottom deck the Neko Mamushi, because that is a 5k body, to boost up the Tashigi and then swing 5 at leader for another 5k swing. So I wouldn't actually hate that play because you're not worried about the Hiyori swinging really. So going to be interesting to see how this goes. You wouldn't be able to get a blocker though in this, and you weren't really going to be able to get a blocker anyway, so I don't think you need to worry about that one. But has a couple different options here. You could actually, if you wanted to, use the Hina and hard play that as they are right now, and then use the event card that they've got, that 2 cost event, to bottom deck both of these characters, but instead opting for the Howlblaze, going for the more aggressive route like I previously mentioned, and swinging 5 at leader. So either going to have to give them another card or just go into the life. And when you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Dawn going into your 9 Dawn turn, if you have 0 life, that doesn't really feel that good. So thinking about what they want to do at this point, there's a couple different options, and going to be getting rid of this character that I forget the name of, and it's an intimidating name. Inuarashi is going to be the counter out of that one with that 1k counter. So drawing a card for turn, going to be another Charlotte Cracker. Charlotte Cracker unfortunately doesn't have a rush, so not going to be one that I think you primarily use. So they've got 2 Dawn set aside for probably a Punk Gibson, and then the rest of their, what I believe is 7 Dawn, out on the other side, top side. So going to be thinking about what they want to do. The double attack is still in effect, honestly, with the Yamato. Still could use that. I'm not 100% sure what you want to do. You swung 8 last time and then they blocked, so I guess you could assume that maybe they don't have enough counter to do another 8, but we know they have 2 Surus in hand to easily get out of that 9. So I'm going to be thinking about what they want to do. They're going to first rest to give the Yamato banish right there from the Onami and attach and swing. And so this is definitely what you want to do. Like I mentioned with the Tashigis, I would pitch the 2 Tashigis, no questions asked. You definitely don't want double attack to hit again, and you definitely don't want banish double attack to hit. So thinking about what he wants to do in here, the Sakazuki play, and again, 2 Tashigis, just pitch them. Just get rid of them at this point. And with 4 Dawn left in here, going to be looking interesting on how this is going to go. These Tashigis have been swinging free, and I'd imagine that they'll swing again in this next turn. So going to be letting this go and banishing the Gecko Moira and the Rob Lucci. So I feel like if you do this, oh, that was just so interesting of when they did that, to be honest. They do have a Gecko Moria in hand, so they are going to be able to potentially get some characters down on the field. And I'm looking, I don't think they have a Rebecca in there, so no blockers. Only that Borsalino. They could get that Borsalino back and put it as active, but that would, I mean, this is a fine line that you're walking right now. This is a very, very scary moment. The 2 cards that you did grab there were only 1k in total, so I guess it isn't too bad, but leaving 4 Dawn open for those Pump Gibsons could really rest all of those characters. So you definitely are thinking about what you want to do. Going to be swinging 8 at leader. Perfect time for a Punk Gibson right here and resting that Tashigi. And so thinking about what you want to do now, I do think after seeing that, now you know that they play Pump Gibson. If you're going to be swinging with this Tashigi, you want to do it first before you swing with the leader, because you don't want to swing with the leader and then the Tashigi gets rested if you're planning on swinging with that. So going to be using the leader effect to draw a Hina after trashing a Hina and finding so many Hinas at this point, but no Rebecca. So going to be attaching all of this Dawn on this Tashigi. How much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a 7k swing. Could use another Punk Gibson right here to just get out of it, but instead going to be taking this life, a potential trigger right here. It's going to be a Cracker, the Charlotte Cracker, and trashing a Charlotte Cracker from hand is actually going to be huge. There is no more opportunity for a Borsalino or blocker to come down, and so the 7k swing of the Sakazuki is going to be Pump Gibson, and now Yamato, all it has to do is just hit life at this point, and you've got a 200 millivolt Amaru. Oh my gosh. And so getting the boost from the 200 millivolt Amaru onto the Cracker, and then using leader effect to boost that 2 rested Dawn on the Cracker, and going to be swinging so much with Cracker into life, and Yamato is going to be advancing into the top 4. One of my favorite decks from OP06. I'm so excited to potentially play this deck. Very, very nice showing on there, and double attack just being real strong. You think you're mad at yellow at this point in OP05 for all my like NAEU viewers? Just wait until we get Yamato. Absolutely insane, incredible showcase of that deck. And thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, I will be going to bed after this, and I will be posting the rest of them as I do them in the morning. It's like 2 a.m. here. I don't want to do any more, and yeah, I can't wait to see the rest of this tournament. So check us out if you haven't yet, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow or later, because it's today. Tomorrow is today. Anyways, good night.